Hey guys, this is Naresh. So in this video today we will learn about an interesting topic called DOM, that is Document Object Model. So as you see in the web page, whenever we do inspect element by doing a right click on inspect, we get a box here. We can see a hierarchy, right? So this is a document object model which my browser is creating. Okay, so we will learn about that and we will see what is a document object model, because if you're working on Selenium, you should have knowledge of this so that if you get any issues, you should know why you are getting this issue. If someone asks you what is document object model and how it interacts with Selenium, so you should have that knowledge with you. All right, so I have created a blog, a simple blog here regarding a document object model, and it says that document object model is a cross-platform and language independent API, application programming interface. So the DOM is an API, okay, and it interact as a T structure. So here, if you see here in my Google, all right, there's a tree structure for that, all right. And what it says that a document object model is a way through which it gives power to a JavaScript. So if you see with the document object model and by using a JavaScript, we can add, change and remove the HTML element and attribute on the page. And we can also change our CSS style. Okay, but the prerequisite is there should be a document object model with the web page and with all the pages which is associated. All right, and how this document object model comes into a picture. So it comes into a picture with the war between a Netscape Navigator and Microsoft Internet Explorer. As you know that these are the two companies who has provided the browsers, which are the very old, they are the companies which have started to provided the browser. One is Netscape and another is a Microsoft Internet Explorer. So this document object model comes in place with these companies. So what happened that when in the beginning we have some static HTML pages, okay, but there was a need that we provide some kind of a dynamic web pages which get changed on some users interaction. Okay, so for that they have created a document object model of their own browser. Okay, later on W3C comes into the picture and they have set up some standards for this document object model, and those standards are not followed on all the browsers. Okay, so now we can see what are the categories of document object model. So basically there are three categories. One is for the HTML and another is the XML and another is the core. But in Selenium, we mostly use the HTML document object model. And here in this diagram, you will see how it look like. So on every page, okay, so every page which we see like this, every page, there is a document object model. And through that document object model, we are interacting with that page. Okay. And how it look like, what it do for the document object model converts each and everything, whatever we see into a page into an object and different elements. So if you see, the document object model has converted the page into a document. So for example, it's a Google page. So there is an object created which is called document. Okay. All the tags which are there in this page are called the elements. The first tag is called root element, the other text is called element. And all the text into that page is called, it's called text. So it's my title is also a text, a heading is also a text in a words of document object model. So you just have to remember that every page which we go on to a web page has an associated document object model, and that document object model is an API, is basically an API through which Selenium interact with the page. Okay, let me show you in a diagram. So I think you have already seen this diagram. Okay, now let me show you another diagram, this one. Okay, and let me explain you how this diagram works and how our Selenium code is interacting with the document object model. Okay, so let's see. For example, in our application, there is a DB, if you know a database. In application, there is also a server, and maybe there's some third-party APIs also through which our application is interacting. And everything is done through a service layer. Okay, and then we have a JavaScript written by our developer. All right. So our developer write a JavaScript, and when they write a JavaScript, they make sure it is interacting with this DOM API. The JavaScript is compatible with the DOM of each and every browser. If you see here, I have written three browser here. One is Firefox, one is Chrome, and one is Safari. So what our developer do when they are writing a JavaScript for a particular web page, they make sure when they write the JavaScript, they are compatible with the each browser. That's mean it is compatible with each DOM of that browser because every browser has their own DOM. Okay, and those DOMs, are coming like those DOM, which they are, which is provided by a browser, are following a W3C standard. Because W3C say that, maybe you can create your own DOM. They tell to a browser, you can create an own DOM, but they should follow the W3C standard. Okay, and in W3C standard, they give certain CRUD operations which they can perform. So, for example, they can give add, get, update, and delete. So, it means that they provides a standard through which a JavaScript can do all these things like add, get, update, and delete. And on the top of that, in DOM, they can do certain more things. Okay, so all these DOM has to follow the standard of W3C for the CRUD operations. Okay, and after that, on the top of that, they can do some more operation and they can show a website on a browser. All right. So if you see that on when the JavaScript code is loaded onto a web page, as per the DOM, they show a website on a browser, and that's the reason you will notice sometimes some websites, comes very beautifully on some of the browser. Like on Safari browser, it's come very beautiful, but maybe on the IE browser, the text boxes and other things are not very beautiful. They are very standard kind of a text boxes. That's the reason because of the DOM implementation. Okay, so the UI developer has to make sure when they create a website that is following the DOM structure, and according to that, that website will get rendered onto the browser. Okay, and one more thing, every DOM. So there is a DOM with the every page. Okay, so for example, login has a separate DOM, homepage has a separate DOM, and about us has a separate DOM. Okay, so there is a DOM interface, an object created for every page. Okay, so let's say for Firefox, if I'm opening these three pages, there are three DOM object created in Firefox. If I'm opening the Chrome browser, there are three DOM objects created on the Chrome browser, and then three DOM object created for the Safari browser. Okay, and as I said before, this is an API. So DOM is nothing but an API through which my Selenium code get interact. And if you see that if there is simple Selenium code, it's just I have just written a pseudocode something, but not the actual code. Example, we are finding some element on a home page. So okay, so it will interact with the DOM, and through which it will try to find an element. Then let's say I have refreshed the page. So if I refresh a page, the DOM has gone, and if I try to click on the element, it throws me an exception. Okay, because what happened when I find an element on a home page, first it will create a DOM. Okay, when I have loaded the page, it creates a DOM for me. As soon as my page gets loaded, it creates a DOM for me, right? And after that, the DOM is created. I've refreshed a page. As soon as I refresh the page, my DOM has been cleared. And if I try to click on the element, you will get something, an exception in the Selenium. So what we have seen that sometime, we open a page and we know that when we open a page, a separate DOM is created. But in that case, if I have refreshed the page, that DOM has gone. Okay, and it create another DOM. But still I'm trying to clicking on the element, so it will give me an exception, something like a stale element exception. Okay, so what is the solution of that? The solution would be that once I refresh a page, it creates another DOM which I know, but after that, instead of directly clicking on the element, I again find an element. So if I try to find an element again, so in step 3, if I say again find the same element on the home page, then it will find the same element and onto the next DOM, into the new DOM. And if I click on the element, it will not give me an exception and stale element exception. Okay, so that is the concept of a DOM. So you have to make sure that whenever you're interacting with the Selenium code, you have to make sure your DOM is there. If your DOM has been refreshed, if a new DOM is created, then you have to find an element on that new DOM. But if you try to click on the element on that old DOM, you will always get an exception. So if you find an element, it will automatically reference to a new DOM which is associated with your page. Okay, so in case if you have any confusion, you can just look into this image again. If you want, you can take a screenshot of this image and just try to understand how our JavaScript is interacting with our browser and how the DOM is giving a power to our JavaScript so that we can do all these operations onto the web browser. Okay, so this is how the DOM is created. This is how Selenium is interacting with DOM. Okay, so if you open, and one more thing, so this is, as I said, that if you click on inspect, it will give you a DOM of this. But if you open Firefox, okay, and let get open. Okay, 1 minute. Okay, so let's say you are opening Firefox and you are opening a browser here in the Firefox. If you do a right click and click on inspect element, then there is a separate DOM is created which is for the Firefox. If you see, there's a complete hierarchical structure which we have talked about. There's a document, there is a head tag, there's a body tag, there's a other tags, and there are different tags written. Okay, and there's a tab also which says DOM. If you go to that, let me just, okay, you will see a DOM structure is created here also. Okay, so as soon as our page is loaded, the DOM structure get created, and whenever I will try to find any element, first I will go to the DOM structure and see if element is not there or not. Okay, and if you do a refresh of a page, okay, let me just call refresh. Okay, let me just press F5 key. Okay, so whenever you refresh a page, so the old DOM which was created has gone, and now it will create a new DOM. So you have to make sure whenever you are clicking on an element, you have to first, find the element again. Okay, you have to find the element again so that it can find the element through the new DOM for you. Okay, all right. So if you see there, I have insert a plugin here which is called a DOM tree view. All right, and if I click here and I can click on the fresh DOM tree view, you can just install the DOM tree view plugin onto your Firefox browser. If I click on that, it gives me this view. Okay, and let me just make it small. Okay, so this is your DOM tree structure view. Okay, so if you see here, this DOM tree structure view has been created through this plugin. All right. So just remember that whenever you are interacting in Selenium, you have a DOM tree structure through which you interact. Okay. And then you interact with all the web pages. Okay. So please make a note of this diagram. Please take a screenshot and try to understand this one. And also take a screenshot of this diagram also, and understand how my DOM structure is. So if anyone asks you, you can explain them what the DOM is and how many types of DOM are there, how many categories of DOM are there, and how my Selenium page is interacting with DOM, and why I get some kind of exception sometime when my elements are not present in DOM. Okay. All right, so if you like the video, you can please hit on the like button and tell me in comments that how do you like this video so that it can motivate me to create some more interesting videos. All right, thank you.